Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our very first session of the Talk to Data Me series. Our series is designed to cover all topics regarding data for our federal government and systems integrator audiences to help teams harness the essential of data to drive decision making, enhance public services, and foster innovation from the core to the edge to the cloud. We are excited to kick off today's session focused on data ops. Data ops has emerged as an important topic for the federal government to improve its data management, analytics, and decision making capabilities for both operational efficiency as well as the national security. Let me walk you through what to expect from today's webinar. We will be covering data ops for government, essentially public sector or US federal government, and then having a discussion around data journey and growth of the data ops domain. This will definitely include questions and polls for the audience. Please watch out for those during the session, and we look forward to your input. Please participate actively and give your candid thoughts and answers to it. And we will we'll wrap up with the next steps. And again, I'll just stress and encourage audience participation as we go along through this webinar today. A couple of reminders before we get started with the discussion. Today's session is being recorded, so we will be sharing the link with all attendees after the session. Please submit questions as they come up. You can submit the questions by clicking on the Q&A section. We will address questions throughout the session, and we will also wrap up with a round of Q&A at the end of the session. And we will be providing additional resources. Again, thank you for joining. Let's dive in. And Kelly, next slide, please. Let me start off by quickly introducing myself. I am Nayak, and I function as Chief Data Scientist with Hitachi Federal, with over 24 years of software development experience, which includes 19 years in the federal government contracting domain. My data science journey started way back in 2003 when it was called data mining, knowledge mining, and it has been a journey that I have enjoyed, as well as it has it has been frustrating at times, to be honest. And here are my contact details as well. And with this, I'll pass on to, I would like to introduce my esteemed colleague and my key collaborator in this webinar series today, Jonathan Ferguson. Jonathan, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. P.
Kelly, next slide.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Ferguson. I am the federal sales leader for Hitachi Vantara Federal. I've been in the business for about 19 years. My data journey started with storing critical data and protecting critical data for the U.S. federal government about 19 years ago. It has since evolved to data ops and data analytics and our data platform that we have here at Hitachi Federal. I really enjoy, I spent 5 years also in the U.S. Air Force prior to joining, supporting the U.S. federal government from a technology perspective. Some of my hobbies include, I love to coach lacrosse, I love pedaling, so whether it's in the dirt or on the road, really enjoy both, as well as spending time with my family and friends. Fun fact about myself, I have a favorite book that has been, very motivational, and I've looked back several times during my career, my life, just to remind myself of how important leadership, discipline, perseverance, and teamwork is within any environment. And that book is When Pride Still Mattered by Vince Lombardi. Hall of Fame coach, NFL coach, was around for a long time, ended his career with a very successful career with Green Bay Packers, and prior to that, he was an immigrant from Italy. So he built his life based on perseverance and achieving his successes. So thank you, Dr. P. Looking forward to our conversation this morning.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that bit of information about the book. I'm sure we'd all love to check that out as well. So with this, let's move on to our very first audience interaction question. Kelly, if you would bring up the poll question. And we had a lot of fun thinking about this question, and I'm hoping you will equally start thinking and give a comeback with your insights on this and the type of which movie title would best describe your DataOps journey, and or if you want to reframe it also, which movie title best describes your data journey.
There's one rule: you can't use Back to the Future
or Terminator. We look forward to seeing your which movie comes to your mind first when you think of data journey. Let's give a moment for everybody to provide their input on this. If you're like me and you're thinking of, I know this movie, but I can't remember the name, you can write a descriptive detail about the movie. Alrighty. So let's see the answers. And we're just pulling them up. Give us a second. I do see some of the answers, such as Beautiful Mind, Imitation Game. Let's see. Can we see some of the other answers? Awesome. We have a really varied set of answers. Lost in Space, Forrest Gump, Kicking and Screaming. I have to check that out. I have no idea what that movie is, but this is definitely building my series of movies that I need to catch up on. Mission Impossible and The Matrix were no surprises. Jonathan, do you have any other movies in mind that you would like to add?
Sure, why not?
Before we get all serious on DataOps, now we'll keep it fun.
There's a great 80s movie where the kid hacked NORAD. What is
See, you're like me.
Yeah,
You can't remember the name.
I can't think of the movie title, but some of you may recognize it. It's when the young kid hacked NORAD from his bedroom and was ready to launch a missile.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
War Games.
There we go.
War Games.
All righty. Now, so that was a good start. Thank you, everyone, for your suggestion of movies and building up our movie list for the weekend. So with this, let's dive into data ops. So Jonathan, what does data ops mean for you, and how does it essentially differ from the traditional data management or the practices in ways in which data was being leveraged as a solution? How has data ops changed that?
Yeah, so data ops is abbreviated for data operations, and operationalizing your data means a lot of different things to different people. There's tons of different buzzwords out there today that you consistently hear, and they're constantly evolving as well. But when it comes to data ops, the underlying meaning is decentralizing or democratizing your data across your enterprise today. So you have disparate sources, whether they're IoT sources, whether they're traditional IT sources, or big data sources and formats. Those are all great disparate sources for you to collect data from and lend data, process data, analyze data, as well as achieve decision dominance during that process. And that's the goal, is to operationalize your data across your enterprise to achieve decision dominance with your organization or industry.
Awesome. How do you see data ops being different for the federal government or the public sector's operations compared to the private sector operations? Because there's definitely a difference in the focus of the activities which take place in either of these domains. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Sure, sure. So what comes to mind, what differs really from the enterprise to the US federal government, some of the use cases. And some of those use cases, we'll get to the use cases later on in our discussion this morning. But those use cases are just distinctly different from use cases that you might see in the commercial enterprise today. So that's one major difference. And then I think the other major difference is the complexity of the US federal government within any agency, very complex because of, there's lots of legacy applications, legacy systems still being in the data center today, still being leveraged, still have tons of value to our US federal government. And operationalizing that data as well as any new data that's being generated, it's easy to think about the value that you can achieve with analyzing that data, having that data available to you and analyzing that data.
That clearly outlines the need for data ops in the federal government, essentially the complexity around it. Thank you for doing that. And additionally, I think there have been a couple of mandates or legislations which have driven that in the direction of operationalizing data ops for the government. And some of those we are highlighting here, as in the Digital Accountability and Transparency Act, which is a neat acronym because it also the acronym comes up to be data as well. So the Act on Data being a data act, as well as the federal government's open spending data, which is a usspending.gov, which shows you how each and every agency is their spending process and how much they have obligated, how much is allocated to them. And clearly the numbers are baffling in there, and you get a good understanding, if not completely, but at least you get an insight into how much is allocated to each and every different agency and how they are using it. And the foundation for that has been all laid out by the Foundations for Evidence-Based Policy Making, which was enacted in January of 2019. And there has been, and this is not just United States, but also all over the world. It started in Australia, I believe, is the Open Data. And OPEN is again an acronym which stands for Open, Public, Electronic, and Necessary. Basically, the government agencies sharing their data, definitely stuff which is unclassified and will not impact the national security. Sharing those data in a format so it can be used by the citizens, by students, by stakeholders, and enabling a better government, enabling better data analysis for the government, and sharing it in an electronic format. That is what that means is data is being shared in a format so that, let's say, it's not just a human user, but an electronic user, an electronic agent can pick up that data and do certain analytics on it as well. So that's briefly going through some of the foundations or the legislations around government operations that has also enabled data ops in the process. So, Jonathan, how are agencies embracing data ops, and what progress are we seeing towards data ops today? And turning to the other side of the coin, what are the challenges or roadblocks, if I may say so, in data ops adoption today, and what can we do to improve that?
Yeah, let's start with the first question. What are we seeing with governments today, and what type of progress are they making or have they made to date? And so that that has a number of different answers. One, because every agency has made different progress within operationalizing their data across their enterprise today, or program, or there's even organizations that are working cross domain. So with both sides of organizations sharing information, enabling both agencies to make decisions based on the information that they're receiving and being analyzed. So that's the greatest progress that I've seen. But then as we peel the onion back a little bit and think about some other agencies that we're working with, we have implementations where they're supporting programs today. However, there's lots of other programs and lots of other data sources across their enterprise that they are not aware of or not operational or decentralizing today. So there's a massive amount of progress that needs to be made. And that's why there's so much money that's behind this industry today, specific to the US federal government, is because this data that we have today and the data that we're generating tomorrow has such a tremendous value. And at the end of the day, this data actually becomes a product that they can reuse and recycle over and over again to help facilitate future decision insights.
Cool. And a follow-up question to that, and what can cause data ops to fail in an organization? Or another way to look at that question is, what does it look like for those not willing to pursue data ops?
Yeah, so an organization not willing to pursue a data op or doesn't currently have a data ops strategy that they're developing, working on, or if not just evolving, then they'll probably be well behind the curve today, because industry has come a long ways over the past 8 to 10 years with data ops. It's just now a topic of conversation that we consistently hear about every day. The number of conversations are endless on a given week with a given agency or systems integrator that's supporting a federal program today. So
sometimes do you feel like you're using an abacus to solve the complex set of challenges that you have out there, trying to work across different data sources, trying to do it in such a way that the processes and the solutions are repeatable, are reusable, so that you're doing more with less, gaining the maximum possible advantage from one possible solution, which can be applied across different other similar, or even sometimes it's a tangential problem, but maybe the same solution applies there. And do you see data ops being a tool or an aid in that type of situation?
Absolutely. And I think when you think about data ops and what an effective data ops strategy starts with is data collection. Data collection is super important because it's the first part of the data ops process, and building a data pipeline or multiple data pipelines to integrate together. So if you think about what you put in your garbage can and what's taken out is garbage, and garbage in, garbage out. So that's very similar to if you don't have the right tool set to collect the data from those disparate sources, then it's gonna impact the outcome of your data insights. So that's something that you're constantly leadership, program owners, decision makers are consistently concerned about, and oftentimes being focused their energy on cleaning up that data and making sure that data is quality data that they're receiving, so that they can make effective decision insights.
Sure. So the value of the data increases as the quality is proven and is measured, and you have associated quality metrics associated with them, and then that in turn encourages more use of that data, and there's even the solutions coming from those good quality data is better quality, going back to your commentary about garbage in, garbage out, and nothing is more true than in the data space, because data is the foundation of any data-driven solution. So if the foundation is weak, the data is not trusted, is not of good quality, the solutions are equally bad. And then obviously if solution is bad, then reuse it in other cases is like you're just introducing a weakness all over the system. All righty. So with this, let's move on to the next audience poll question. That's a fun one, and a quick one actually. But in the same vein, I will encourage the attendees to please continue posting questions. We are seeing some good ones come in, and we will be covering them as we are going along. So a poll question would have popped up on your screen. Please go ahead and provide your input on it, and we'll take a minute or two to wait for your to give you a chance to provide your input, and then we'll move along. And a hint is that we did cover this initially. Actually, Jonathan started off with this as part of his initial commentary. So, Jonathan, while waiting for the poll to close up, we have a question. What frustrates you in the data ops domain, and how did you overcome it, if you did overcome it?
Any frustrations? So depending on your familiarity with the competitive landscape, you'll quickly realize that it's a very busy space today. And I don't think it's precluded to the U.S. federal government. I think it's across many enterprises and many industries today because of the use cases, cross-pollination of use cases that we're seeing, and some of the challenges that organizations are having today. So I think with that said, there's tremendous value in evaluating the right tools and choosing the right tools to help facilitate your data ops journey. Defining what your data ops journey super critical, but also at the same time is evaluating the right tools for your data ops needs. And those are consistently different depending on program needs and what the anticipated outcomes of those data ops or data pipelines.
Sure. And this kind of ties into the poll question as well as our next section of discussion. So data ops is not just technology or a architecture or a concept. It's actually the trifecta of people, process, and technology all working together, driven in the direction of getting good evolving solutions in place that are data driven in nature, that have the foundation of data in itself. So with that, let's move on to the and wrapping up the poll question. Thank you for providing your insights. Most of you got it right as saying that it is false that data ops is solely focused on technical aspects. There is the people aspect to it. How do you get the data culture to also thrive in an organization so that the data-driven way of working is organic and is part of the process and not something which is thought as an aside or something which is being forced on people. Yeah. You want your data solutions to evolve over time. You want that process to grow, people thinking in that data-driven nature within the given agencies who are working towards being more data-driven and leveraging data to the maximum advantage, thinking of data as a strategy, as their tactical, for both their strategic, tactical, and operational needs as well. So with that, so Jonathan, how does data ops work? Because we have defined in the earlier section about on a conceptual term as to what is data ops and how is it working in the federal government. How does data ops work? What are the key benefits, challenges, or pitfalls to be aware of? I know we did discuss a little bit about this in the earlier questions as well. Anything you would like to expand on or provide more flavor?
Yeah, absolutely. So data ops, you think about what takes place within that data ops pipeline processing. A lot of collaboration. Once you ingest that data, there's a practice or concept that's called data blending that takes place. And that's not a trivial task by any means. When you think about blending data from those disparate sources, whether they're OT sources, IT sources, and big data sources. So there's a ton of sources, and sometimes these sources, depending on environment, it could be thousands of different sources that you're collecting data from. Now that sounds really really challenging and like a daunting task, and it is when it comes to technical capabilities. So not everybody needs, not all competition kind of meets the reaches the watermark and with those capabilities. But those are some of the key components. Automation. There's a lot of automation that's taking place, though that there's human factor involved within this whole data ops and data analytics platform architecture. There's lots of human factor that's taking place. Data engineering, data science modeling that are doing modeling. There's also data analysis or admin that's also involved within that data pipeline. So all very important and critical to the success of achieving decision dominance, but absolutely necessary.
So what do you look at as the different components of a data ops architecture? I know we are looking at the Petaho data ops and content intelligence data stack over here. Would you like to highlight a little bit on the data catalog and what purpose it serves in a data ops environment?
Absolutely. So data catalog is really a tool within that pipeline that manages the data governance, the data lineage, and these are all promoting and increasingly improving data quality as you're going through the process. Those key components within the data catalog, measuring, determining where that data came from, when it was touched, when it was last touched, when it was last hydrated, if there's any changes that have been made, all that information, data is provided you through that data catalog. There's a lot of different data catalogs out there, and not all are equal. I'll say
Absolutely.
that. There's certainly advantages when you have a tool set capabilities that you can manage not only structured data, but also unstructured data. It certainly is a challenge for many organizations across many different programs and what they're trying to achieve today, and with decision dominance.
Perfect. And I like the part about you mentioned that how it's the power of being able to work across structured and unstructured data. What do you think? So over here, I think we should highlight as well that we are looking at a screenshot of the Pentaho data catalog, and it is showing the data quality metrics as well as the data lineage. And getting access to this type of information when searching for data. And I would like to highlight the difference here between searching in data versus searching for data. The data catalog enables that searching for data because as we all know, when a data scientist or data analyst is starting a solution and they are starting their process of identifying related data assets that will help them solve a given problem, the first and immediate hurdle and roadblock is where is the data that I need to use for this process? And do you have any insights on that? Have you heard of similar problems, similar experiences from the customers that you have worked with?
Yeah, a lot of conversations lead to differentiators with different catalogs, and so one of the key components that we hear is how do we better manage unstructured data, and with governance, because governance is such an important component to managing and securing government data today, or any data for that matter. So, back to managing structured and unstructured data and being able to do that effectively for your clients seems to be a growing need, and something that is being asked for a lot and discussed. So that is one focus area of ours as it relates to the data catalog.
How about data protection and searching for sensitive data, protecting that sensitive data, because the catalog provides the convenience of searching for data. How does that affect the, definitely with that, making it easier to access data also brings up the challenge of protecting your data and providing that protection against folks getting access to data which they should not be seeing in the first place.
Yeah, totally capable. I think those are general capabilities that is included in a lot of different tool sets that industry has today. Being able to mask data, for example, right? You need to mask PI. Maybe you need to mask network data from being accessed or being visible to maybe an adversary.
Right.
So there's lots of an endless amount of security concepts that can be discussed here. But what I think is really important is the governance and security that Hitachi Vantara is delivering to our customers today doesn't end there. We have a very open framework. So you can plug and play. What that means is you can essentially plug and play as long as you have an API that's open, other security tools to help facilitate policy within your organization.
Sure. And as you mentioned, it doesn't end there. That brings up to the next capability within a given DataOps platform, which should be to be able to, you found the data. Now, how do you combine the data together? All these disparate data, be it structured and unstructured. And we keep harping on this fact about the structured and unstructured data because there are different challenges when working with either of those and handling them. And so Pentaho is one of the proven tools. It's been around for 20 plus years now, and that enables those type of no-code, low-code environment, enabling integration of data across these disparate data sources with the open architecture foundation that you just mentioned, which enables microservices architecture, being able to easily integrate with other applications. And again, going back to the note earlier on about providing a strong foundation for a data-driven environment. A tool like this provides that foundation so that any other data-based solutions, tools that you already have in your organization, how do you get them working with something like Pentaho so that you are making that stronger rather than having stuff pipes, silos of solutions? How do you get all these solutions that you already have working even better, and Pentaho enabling that? Any thoughts on that you would like to share with respect to data integration and the challenges around it?
Blending data, I think, across those different disparate sources is a daunting task for any technology company. Where I think a big difference is with Hitachi and what Hitachi Vantara offers its clients, whether it's U.S. federal customers or any variety of industry around the globe today. We've owned this product for a number of years, and it's still evolving today, as well as the variety of industries that we support, not just internally from a Hitachi perspective, but externally from a client perspective, and helping them to operationalize, their data across, those disparate sources. So that said, yes, we do. We've been researched and studied and hacked, participated in a number of hackathons, which have all indicated that our integration process and power is really heightened when it comes to some of the competition in industry today. When I mentioned thousands and thousands of data sources, we have implementations today that we can discuss and that are relevant to our U.S. federal government customers today.
Awesome. And we are just showing one small example or a architecture which is possible using those various tools that we have in place, which provide that foundation or provide the components of a DataOps platform or a DataOps methodology, which includes both the data catalog as well as the data integration for both structured and unstructured data. So what would you say, and all this leads to something, another term we hear today, which is data platform. What is a data platform and how is it connected to data ops?
Sure. So Pentaho is our data platform, and then our analytics is associated with that platform. Behind that platform is where our DataOps toolset sit, that provide, the data blending, the data processing, then AI, ML modeling, ML ops, and a variety of other concepts that are taking place during those pipelines. But that's where the platform starts. It all starts at the platform, and then with the open architecture, and most competition today is all built on open source architecture, which is positive for many of our customers today. So you can plug and play, meaning you can plug and play. If you have a data catalog today and it meets your needs for certain things, but you think that you may need another data catalog to support a variety of different complex data sets, then maybe Hitachi data catalog is something that's better fit for you. Manage an unstructured and structured data.
Perfect. Yeah, data comes in different shapes and sizes, and you need different solutions to be able to get a complete control or a grasp of the complexities associated with it.
And back, one thing I want to add, go back to data ingest, data collection. Those disparate sources are one thing, but it doesn't make a difference where those sources are geographically located. A variety of different clouds. Everybody's got multiple clouds in within their enterprise today. Some applications or use cases, need to leverage the edge, the edge of the cloud, to collect data faster, and make decision insights, or data more available and decisions insights.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
And that's I think one complexity which we hadn't covered so far in our discussion, which is about this whole hybrid cloud setup, which is becoming more common today, consisting of both on-premise configuration, on-premise where data is located, and a certain amount of data which is located in one or more of the cloud providers, multi-cloud setups, and then being able to work across all these distributed data and across these different infrastructures. But then when a data scientist goes in and wants to work on a data science problem, they want access to all the data, all the relevant data, of course. But doing that in a hybrid cloud or a mixed setup like the one you mentioned, is often a challenge due to security configurations, due to not understanding what data is available where. So getting a grasp of that, getting a collection of that profiling of data and available as an entry in your data catalog that enables that the search for data that we were trying to distinguish from searching in data, that is enabled by a data platform, and making that easier enough and helping the the decision makers, the data scientists, and all these people who are working with data focus on their task rather than figuring out this complex setup where your data is located. That should be agnostic to the folks who are trying to leverage data for solving a problem. And another complexity which creeps in this type of working across structured and unstructured data, the hybrid cloud config is that you may be working in an environment which is having connection issues. It's a disconnected environment. So you want to be able to work around it as well, while making sure that at a certain point when the connection is reestablished, your data quality and your data is getting to the right places where it needs to be there. So that's kind of important and a key requirement of a data platform.
Mission critical.
Exactly.
Mission critical.
Mission critical, future ready, mission critical. All right, with this, I think let's move on to our next poll question. And this is a fun one. And there is a bonus question associated with it. Do try to take a guess on who created this poll. And the hint being that it's neither me nor Jonathan. So take a wild guess as to who could have created this poll question. We will reveal it. I have a feeling most of you will get it as to who created this poll. And do post that as part of your in the Q&A or the chat. And we will see if we can, whichever the poll option comes up as the top choice, we may have some fun stickers coming out for that, or it may become our mascot. We are yet to decide, though.
We've got some swag for you guys.
Yes. So keep it coming. Please provide your responses. Any favorites, Jonathan? Hoping you will not influence the poll.
I'm not going to influence the curious cat.
I do have a favorite in there, and I hope it wins. I'm rooting for it. Oh no, it got 0 votes. So now you know which one I was rooting for. All right. I think, Jonathan, you kind of swayed the poll a little late, but you did. It's the curious cat is the winner. Yeah, so any dog lovers in this in the attendees? I'm sorry we didn't have that as an option. So any guesses on who created this poll? Please provide that in the Q&A section. Yeah, would love to hear your take on who would have created this poll. And remember, it was not me or Jonathan who created this. So with this, let's continue the discussion on our very interesting discussion. And again, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing your insights and your experiences with working on the various federal government agencies and organizations and enabling their data ops journey. So with this, let's move on to use cases. That's always a important thing. And anytime we cover a concept, we always want to know where is the use case for this? Where is the maximum value being derived from this? So can you please share certain key use cases where you have seen it being applied, as well as where you would recommend government to start thinking about applying data ops?
Yes, there's so many use cases, and if any of the audience, is in this industry today, or on the client side, or supporting a client within this particular area, you realize that there's endless amount of use cases, because everything is associated with data technology today, and productizing that data is the goal today, making it very useful. So records management, start from the bottom. Records management, fortunately, most hopefully all records today that are being generated are digital rather than in paper format. It wasn't that long ago that was not the case in the government public sector, but that's certainly a a very positive progression. So, we see records management from the highest level of organizations within the U.S. federal government, DOP, as well as from every agency is trying to get their records under control and search and really searchable and to utilize across their enterprise today. Having to dig for a document that's been filed away, or maybe it's on a library sitting somewhere, and maybe just get disconnected today. All of those are certainly challenges when you're searching for data. So having that data readily available, regardless of its geographic location, super valuable for our clients today. Predictive analytics. I know it says predictive vehicle analytics, but predictive analytics can be applied to a number of different use cases, as you probably can imagine. So take a fleet of a dozen ships today that that require annual maintenance. You want to monitor fueling. You want to monitor a variety of different things and improve, take money out of a couple of things, that outcomes that they're searching for here. They're trying to take money, extend the life cycle of those vessels today. They need to know when there's enough barnacles on the hull, because that certainly impacts fuel usage, utilization, and a number of other things, weighing down the payload of the vessel. So that's one thing that we've done in helping a DoD agency and measuring and analyzing what's taking place on their ships from a day-to-day perspective. Data lake design automation. We've got a number of use cases with our federal customers today where we've helped them to build a data lake and have all of that data that they've across their enterprise in one specific area to be analyzed, managed, and presented to their decision makers. Data orchestration across multiple agencies. Some agencies today, not a lot of them, but it's certainly growing across the Fed. Is they're trying to enable different agencies to work closer together to achieve the same mission, right? They both have similar missions, if not the same mission, but they need them to be connected and being able to make decisions based on their operational data that they're collecting from those disparate sources.
Definitely. And this is a good mix of all the use cases on the two key components that we spoke about for DataOps, which is the data integration and the data catalog, which is profiling the data and enabling that search for data. And to some extent, I think these use cases also is an indicator for us, or tells us what success looks like when DataOps is done right. Are there any other examples or factors, etc., that you would like to highlight, which will make it more apparent as to what does success look like when DataOps is done right? That seems like a lyric.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I actually need a moment to think about that.
Anything from the commercial space that you would want to connect and highlight? Because we have been focusing on the government. There are a lot of success stories in the commercial space as well. Sure. Anything you want to pull in from the commercial success stories? Yeah,
so I'll start from the beginning. When if anybody's familiar with Vantara and the roughly 20 year lifespan of Vantara in the industry today, where Vantara got its teeth cut, surprisingly, was within financial services. So in the early 2000s, when the market crashed, FINRA was developed, FINRA looked to Pentaho to help achieve a certain amount of data analysis across many disparate sources. Shortly after that, many of the trading platforms around the globe followed suit with Pentaho. And so Pentaho is still under the covers of many trading platforms today, supporting those platforms.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different, but not to say that the U.S. federal government is not tracking in those types of use cases that are not important to them. We have OIG, Office of the Inspector General, and every organization agency has an OIG office as well. And then you think about what's going on in terms of threat intelligence from a security perspective. There's lots of use cases right around this whole financial services use case that I just mentioned momentarily, that quickly apply to what's taking place in across the federal government today.
Definitely.
And helping them define their policies today so that they can eventually take action.
Yeah, and I think that highlights an important point that we should not forget, that a lot of the commercial use cases are applicable to the federal government, but making that mapping and tying it together is important. And sometimes we lose sight of it because we think that the commercial sector is more focused on profit making, whereas the objectives of the federal government is operational efficiency, providing the best service for the citizens. But there is a translation or a mapping of some of these data-driven solutions which apply to the federal government day-to-day operations, as well as the long-term mission and vision.
Yeah, cybersecurity, supply chain management, supply chain security, smart warehouses, smart buildings, smart, smart. What do we hear a lot over the past couple of weeks? We heard from a lot of DoD friends that that they're focused on smart bases installations.
Awesome. And all these topics that you mentioned, note to the audience that these will be all coming up in our future sessions. So keep a watch out. We will be planning them out. And if a particular topic is of interest for you, please do highlight that for us. So we will make sure to get those particular topics prioritized higher up in our upcoming sessions than others. So with this, let's move on to the last but not the least poll question. And so the question is around which famous explorer best represents your DataOps approach. So have some fun with it and come back with your response. And as promised, both these poll questions, the last one and this one, is courtesy of friend ChatGPT. I did use ChatGPT for the purpose of coming up with this fun poll questions. Don't blame me for it. Hopefully you had fun with it though. And let's watch for the responses roll in. As it comes up, we do have a few takeaways, so don't drop yet. We will cover that next as soon as this poll question wraps up, and we will be covering both the takeaways as well as the next steps, call to action, and we will wrap up with that shortly. And please continue dropping the questions in there. Awesome. Oh, we have a tie-in here where the folks who have preferred Christopher Data Columbus as well as Amelia ETL Earhart. So we will take this further on and maybe have both of them as our upcoming stickers or mascots. We'll come up with that decision. So with this, we'll move on to the Q&A section. We do have 2 questions which we can quickly take, considering the 2 minutes that we have left. How exactly can metadata aid data quality? Would you like to take that, Jonathan, or I can take a stab at it?
Where should I go?
Perfect. All righty. So we've been talking about how both structured and unstructured data have their different challenges, and metadata definitely applies for both the cases, but more so in the unstructured data space, so that you are profiling the unstructured data and getting the key information profiled and available, so that searching for content and matching attributes when working with unstructured data is making that whole process a lot more convenient than you having to open each and every document as you're trying to identify matching criteria, which one can imagine, will be time consuming. And metadata gives you that structure to the chaos when working with unstructured data, getting a better control on the volume aspect of unstructured data as well. That being said, metadata also applies to structured data, and it can be a huge enabler in that space as well, both in terms of the data which is part of the structured data, as well as key characteristics of that structured data. We have one more question, which is, what do you see in the horizon as a huge convenience and enabler for data and data ops overall? And that's a great question to wrap up this session. I see both getting that whole data stack and the architecture of working on an end-to-end solution, so that searching for data is enabled, and using the data, and also having a way in which you are keeping track of the deliverables or the solutions being developed, so that that whole angle of reusability and reapplicability to related or tangible domains becomes more enabled. We do talk about that in the space of ML ops, but that applies irrespective of, it doesn't necessarily apply only to the machine learning solution, but any data-driven solutions that you have, you should be able to reuse it in a convenient manner, and that knowledge among the data practitioners is being shared and enabling that the data-driven culture in an organization. Any additional thoughts, Jonathan?
So I think I heard what I heard, Dr. P, is you're saying that more automation. I expect to see more automation within these tools and capabilities in the future. And I think that we've seen a tremendous amount of automation take place in just a short period of time, and that's, you know, as you're hearing, that's, you know, this will continue to evolve and make more time for those data engineers doing data engineering tasks rather than, you know, tasks that they shouldn't be doing, should be automated, right? Yeah. So that's the goal of creating more automation during within this process, this pipeline, to eliminate and reduce the amount of time spent on tasks that should be automated. So I think look out for that, and I think that's in the near term. Those capabilities, like I said, are evolving, and they're will be available to GA and available to industry in the near future.
Perfectly put. Yeah, automation is the key word in all this entirety and enabling the process.
Yeah, speed to decision making, right?
Absolutely. So with this, we'll wrap up with mentioning that 10 attendees from this session will win a Talk Data to Me t-shirt. These are really cool, very comfortable. I can't talk more about it. So the drawing will take place from today's attendees, and the winners will be notified via email within 24 hours. So please watch out for your email, and we will collect your address and size to ship out the t-shirts for you. As next steps, please continue learning, schedule a discussion with us, see a demo, and look forward to an announcement on the next webinar, which is upcoming on e-discovery. You'll see more information on the same in the following slide. But most importantly, please provide us feedback on your topics of interest. As I mentioned, we will use it to prioritize the topics that we want to cover for you. And this is the details of the next upcoming sessions in this Talk Data to Me series. On the 11th of October, we have the Navigating the Data Storage Maze, Conquering Security, Complexity, and Efficiency Challenges. We hope and wish that you are able to join us for that, as well as we have the follow-up session planned on 25th of October, which is going to cover the topic of e-discovery. E-discovery unraveled, uncovering process realities and technological integration. This is where you will see both me and my dear friend Jonathan once more, and we will cover the space of e-discovery and build on this whole discussion around DataOps and how DataOps and data platforms enable e-discovery. So we look forward to having you join us again for that. As well as please bring your friends along. We would love to have more company here. This is our contact information. We look forward to hear from you as well. And there is our LinkedIn profile as well as the Carasoft information over here. And with this, we will wrap up this session. There will be a poll open for some time after this session ends as well, so that you can provide us the much needed feedback on which topics you would like to hear on our future sessions. Thank you so much for joining us for this series. We had a great time and hope the same for you. Have an absolutely fantastic day. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.